The final speaker is Scooter Monroe. Scooter Monroe is a vice president and head of office leasing at Weller Development Company. Scooter's main focus right now is Port Covington, a 235-acre redevelopment project located on Baltimore City's prime waterfront, currently one of the largest urban revitalization efforts in the United States. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome to the stage Scooter Monroe.
So thank you to everyone for joining us here this afternoon. We couldn't be more excited to host you here in Baltimore so you can experience our great city and learn about some of the great things that we have going on here. Baltimore is a city, as like many cities, with its own challenges. But it also has a tremendous amount of potential. So I'm going to share a little bit about the Port Covington project. It's a 14 million square foot mixed-use development that's sat on Baltimore's waterfront. We own 235 acres. It's going to be the future home of Under Armour's global headquarters, and we'll build kind of the mixed-use project around that campus. The picture that you see here is the first phase of the project, and we'll tell you a little bit about the backstory. I've been with Weller Development Company for about 5 years since the project's inception. I've worked on the development side and now working on recruiting companies to the city of Baltimore and to Port Covington. So our story really starts with Kevin Plank, who's the CEO and founder of Under Armour. We were part of Kevin's family office, and we like to show this slide because it tells a story of the American dream. And the American dream is happening. Baltimore is a part of it, and it's because of Under Armour and Kevin's vision. So what you see in the bottom right corner there is Kevin in his grandmother's basement in Georgetown, where he founded the company. He moved the company to Baltimore and has since really kind of quadrupled down on the city and made a commitment to keeping Under Armour here and growing it here in this city. And his vision is really the path that we've been on for Port Covington. As Under Armour was growing, Kevin needed to attract and retain great talent to Under Armour and to the city of Baltimore. And what was happening is he was picking up the phone and talking to C-suite executives from around the country, and the conversation was, hey, we really enjoy the conversation and bringing your partnership to Under Armour. We would love to have you, but I need you to move your company to Baltimore. And sometimes there was silence on the other end of the phone. So the conversation then turned to, how do we start to change the narrative on Baltimore? How do we elevate Baltimore to world-class city standards? So that really started with the Sagamore Hotel. If anyone has an opportunity to go over there when you're here this week, I'd encourage you to go over. This was the first project that we built as a company, and it's a 128-key hotel that sits in historic Fells Point. And this project was not about the return to investors or the IRR. It was about doing something that was great for the city of Baltimore. And a lot of folks, when we started this project, they thought that we overbuilt, we overinvested in this building. But at the end of the day, the Sagamore Hotel was voted the #1 hotel in the United States by Condé Nast Traveler and number 26 in the world. So all of a sudden, you start to see that narrative about Baltimore changing. You see publications like Travel and Leisure and Condé Nast Traveler and Garden and Gun talking about Baltimore, not about the crime stats and some of the challenges that we have in our city, but some of the great things that's going on, right? And we think a rising tide floats all ships. So whether it's Under Armour or other companies that are located here, our job is to do what a lot of folks around the city is doing, and that's creating an environment that will allow Baltimore to shine. So if you step back and think about where Baltimore is located, kind of in the heart of the Middle Atlantic, where easy access to Washington, D.C., New York, and Philadelphia, Baltimore provides a tremendous opportunity for companies who want to locate here in the Mid-Atlantic and grow their business. When combined with Washington, D.C., we're the fourth largest metro in the country. And that's part of the story that we're telling as we're traveling the country and recruiting companies to Baltimore. Port Covington, zooming in on Baltimore. So the Inner Harbor is up at the top of the screen in the Central Business District. Under Armour's campus is there to the right, across the harbor from the Sagamore Pendry Hotel. And Port Covington is a 235-acre peninsula. Located south, just adjacent to the city. Maybe there's some folks who've been to Seaport in Boston. We kind of compare ourselves to that, as it's just outside of the urban core, but provides a tremendous growth area for the city. Port Covington, at the end of the day, will be 45 city blocks, and it'll be half the size of downtown, just to give you an idea of the scale of this project. So our team is Weller Development. We're the boots on the ground developer of the project. Kevin Plank's family office is Plank Industries. They're investors in the land, and then Goldman Sachs came in with a $233 million investment as the landowners. And that was just a huge flag in the ground for Baltimore and for the project. So now we're poised to move the project forward as we get started with the first phase of development. A little bit about the project timeline. Some things, I'll point out some things that would be interesting to this group. So we're master planned for 18 million square feet. Under Armour's campus will be 4 million square feet, and we'll build 14 million square feet of mixed use around it. We got a $660 million TIF. That was it was a long process. We have the scars to prove all the work that we did on that. It was one of the largest TIFs in U.S. history. And as you all know, and working in big projects in your cities, that a project of this size and scale just doesn't happen without the support of the community and the support of the city, and creative financing like the TIF. We have matter of right zoning on the project. We have unlimited height and density, and we can build as much scale as demand will allow. We talked about the Goldman Sachs partnership, $233 million. That came from their urban investment group. They've been fantastic partners on this project, and they believe in Baltimore and in the Port Covington project. I will say that this is not concessionary capital by Goldman. Goldman are, they're smart money, and it's great to have them as partners. But this is a double bottom line, but it's certainly not charity. We're now poised to move forward with the first phase of the project. We will have building permits by the end of this year, and we'll start seeing vertical construction on the first phase. So a little bit about Port Covington. We've hit on some of this. This rendering that you see here is the first chapter. It's 3 million square feet. Gives you an idea of the orientation of the project to the waterfront. It's right on top of I-95 with 46 million cars a year going past the site. And then you can see as you go down past the stadiums into the Central Business District. We have 2.5 miles of waterfront, and ultimately we're creating this urban mixed-use environment that is going to be a place that companies can come and they can attract and retain talent and the millennial and talented workforce that they need for future growth and success. Baltimore hasn't seen this level of development all at the same time ever. So part of what we understand is that we're not just going to move chess pieces around within Baltimore. We need to recruit companies from the outside. So we've been traveling around the country and talking to companies who are looking for an East Coast presence, who want to be in the Mid-Atlantic, and Baltimore provides a lower cost alternative to some of the more expensive markets. We also are selling kind of the great talent pool that we have here in the greater capital region. Because Port Covington is located on the southern end of Baltimore, it provides great commuting access from greater Maryland and the Washington, D.C. area. So a lot of the folks that we've been talking to, brokers and site selectors around the country, we're telling this Baltimore story for the first time, and it's starting to resonate with folks. So So this gives you an idea of what the Peninsula looks like today. The Baltimore Sun newspaper is on our land. We can't control what they write about us, but that's fine. The Rajshri Tavern and Distillery is located on the property. We'll talk a little bit about that. And then Under Armour's campus is a 58-acre piece that they own and control. The Sagamore Spirit Distillery, Maryland has a great history of rye whiskey. We're one of the earliest producers of rye whiskey before Prohibition. And Plank Industries wanted to celebrate that history. We built a distillery on the waterfront with a great restaurant next door. There's 50,000 visitors a year coming through and to learn about Maryland's whiskey heritage. And that's a great anchor for this project. And that's really kind of the heart and soul that we're going to expand from the distillery. So the first chapter I mentioned is 3 million square feet. We're going to build a lot of different types of uses and spaces for different types of office users and residential as well. Rajshri Market, which we'll talk about a little bit here, is really kind of the heart and soul of the project. It's a boutique office complex that's the first building that we're building right across the street from the distillery. We'll build about 500 units of residential next door to that, and a 215,000 square foot office tower. On the waterfront, we're planning a music venue, a condo building. We're really focused on cybersecurity and life science tenants initially, but once again, we have 14 million square feet that we can build, so we literally will have all types of companies down in Port Covington. So this is Rajshri Market. It's a mixed-use boutique office. This is really kind of the urban placemaking. Once again, we're over and investing in this building to create really a fantastic place for growing companies. These are the tech firms, the cybersecurity companies. We're going to have a food hall and market here, rooftop event space. That really sets the tone for the neighborhood. 2455 Banner Street. This is our mixed-use office tower, 218,000 square feet. My friend John Mastel is here in the audience. He has a stack of leases, so if anybody has a company that wants to sign up today, we're happy to help you out. But we're marketing this building as kind of that urban industrial type of look, but at the same time, in a brand new building that's very highly efficient. These are some shots of some of the residential pieces that we have coming on. We're talking about doing an apartment hotel on the project. This is next door to the office tower. And then this gives you a shot of what that first 3 million square feet is going to look like. One of the really important pieces to what we've done in the Port Covington project is our partnership with the surrounding communities. We created a partnership with 6 communities that surround Port Covington, and we've committed to infusing both capital and resources to help those communities on their path to prosperity. So in terms of, as we were going through the TIF process, we made commitments around affordable housing. 20% of the housing in Port Covington will be affordable. Workforce development, minority and women-owned business hiring, community empowerment events, kids sports teams. All of these things go into creating a project that just doesn't benefit a select few. It really benefits the entire Baltimore community. The Business Improvement District is also a big piece of what we'll create here in Port Covington. Safety and security is of utmost importance to us. And we, as a real estate development firm, take a hospitality approach to everything that we do. So there'll be hospitality teammates that are out in Port Covington. We'll also have an additional layer of physical security presence in Port Covington. And fortunately, because we're on a peninsula, we can operate the community almost like a campus. So all of our camera systems and security measures will be integrated and talking to one another. We'll talk a little bit more about some of the private fiber loop and other things that we're installing in the property to help kind of create a really safe and secure environment. 40 acres of public park and outdoor space. We want to create a very approachable waterfront Baltimore has been known for its inner harbor, and this is the outer harbor. It's an underutilized piece of land that really was never available to the public before, and now we want to create an environment where people can come down, enjoy Baltimore's waterfront, throw the ball with the kid, walk the dog, and really kind of take advantage of the vast amount of waterfront that we have in our city. We're installing a private fiber loop around the property and creating our own ISP. We want to create really kind of a seamless, very hospitable environment in Port Covington. Everything that we do is about making the customer experience as easy and as seamless as possible. And we're also designated as a federal opportunity zone. So as everybody, I'm sure, has heard a lot about the opportunity zones. Port Covington is one of the highest growth opportunity zones available, and we've attracted actually Goldman's next round of capital is going to be out of their opportunity zone fund. So companies who are looking to take advantage of those tax incentives, Port Covington's a great place for them to locate. So that's the vision of Port Covington. We, once again, appreciate you coming out and spending time here in Baltimore, and we hope to see you back in Port Covington when we're built. Thank you.